Hi everyone, it's Jazz Cole here with another video, and this video is about being more consistent in language learning and being able to build habits that will help you with your language learning. Let's get started. So this video is actually based on a book that I was reading with my book club for entrepreneurial women, and the book that we read was Atomic Habits: Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results by James Clear. It's a very good book. I've read it before and then I read it again for this book club, and there are a lot of really good pieces of information that can help you build habits and make language learning a part of your life. And he breaks this down into 4 different laws, which refer to he breaks it down into 4 different laws, which include making it obvious, making it attractive, making it easy, and making it satisfying. So I'm going to use that structure in terms of building consistent habits with language learning specifically. So in making it obvious, that really just includes like your environment, basically making sure that it's just obvious that you need to learn a language, because if you, it's like the saying goes, out of sight, out of mind. You're gonna, if you don't see anything or have any visual cue that you need to do something, then it's just not, you're just not going to do it. It's like, as much like for me, I make it a very big habit every day to do yoga or meditation, to do my daily devotions, as well as doing reading every day. Those are 3 things I have to do first thing in the morning. And my my apps actually give me notifications to do one of those, like my devotional, like it's in my calendar, so I get notifications on that if I haven't done it later in the day, but I also get notifications early in the morning to do devotions, just as an example. So with language learning, you just need to make it obvious. Like, if you can, like, put it in your calendar, put it on your to-do list. For me, I'm a big to-do list person, because if I don't have it in my to-do list, I will not get to it at all. Even if you have like certain language learning apps, make sure you put those like in the front screen, because that way you can see it, and so it's in the back of your mind, like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do it. Because if it's like you just have to open up your home screen and then go and search through your apps, you're never gonna do it. Yeah, so those are just some ways to make it obvious. The next thing is making it attractive. Like, if it's like, oh, like it's something I want to do, then it would make it easier for you to do it. You know, it's like, oh, like if it's it's like if you, like, I mean, everyone loves to, I don't know, eat, I don't know, like eat dessert, like, you know, like if you go by like if you go by the bakery section at like the grocery store, I mean, it's attractive, like, to buy a cake, because it's like, look at it, it's like so attractive looking, it makes me want to eat it, you know? So with habits, you want to make them attractive so that you're motivated to do it. You know, like what I would say, for example, is I am really super into meditation and yoga, because my mental health is just a priority right now. So I love being able to relax, because I have a lot of anxiety sometimes and panic attacks. So what I love to do is I would listen to ASMR sometimes, and I would find ASMR like YouTube channels in other languages. So I would be like tempted to listen to them. I also listen to a lot of podcasts that are centered around other languages. Like, I do listen to a couple of Italian meditation podcasts. I listen to a French meditation podcast. There's one that is in Spanish. So finding these things that you really like, because it's like, I have to meditate anyway. This is time that you're having to take anyway. You're just habit stacking, as he calls it, where you're just stacking a habit with a habit. So if you're already gonna do meditations that day, do it in Italian. There's so many podcasts, and I actually will have some of those linked on our website as well in the description. You know, just do it with something that, so it's like when I meditate, I will like it's like creating like statements, like when I habit, current habit, I will new habit. So for example, when I meditate, I will listen to podcasts in other languages. Let's say I really enjoy watching YouTube videos. Find YouTube channels that are in that language. For example, I love Duchess to Be. with Kim, because her YouTube channel is very unique because she teaches Dutch in Dutch. And of course, like in some of her earlier beginner videos, she would speak in English. But I don't know, I just love the sound of her voice, and so anytime I have free time, I just will watch her videos. I also follow her on Instagram just because it will make it easier, because it's like, oh, I go on Instagram and I see posts like, you know, her stories and her posts in this language, and so it makes it more obvious, but it also makes it more attractive because I'm doing those things anyway. Another thing is that during the spring, I started the hashtag Plant Your Progress challenge, and that basically was where I actually, because I started a new hobby with gardening, because by the time you see this, these will be planted, but I started with planting seeds, and every time I watered it or every time I took care of it, I would do something in relating to language learning. So like say I would water my plant and I would just listen to music in that particular language. And I think I love challenges like that because it's attractive. We're always doing challenges on Instagram and on social media. So, or even like TikTok challenges I know are a thing. So, you know, having that challenge where it's like you're being able to have accountability, but also it's like I'm doing something I like doing something you like before you do something you need to do. Like if you're washing dishes, and let's say if that's your thing, listen to music in another language. You're gonna and find genres you like, because if it's a genre you like and you just like for me, one of my favorite artists is Lompal, who's a French artist. I think his last album came out like a couple years ago, but I love his music, and sometimes like I'll just go back and I'll just listen to his songs, or some like a Belgian artist that I've been listening to, Angèle, who recently came out with a new album. I love her Insta stories. She's actually really funny. I recommend you follow her on Instagram because she's hilarious. And then not only that, but she's speaking in French. And she's this like cute little dog that like, yeah, it's just like, and then like, she's just hilarious. So I follow her. I'm doing what I like, which is, you know, being on Instagram. And then also at the same time, the person is entertaining me. And then at the same time, like, I'm getting exposure to the language. Then the next thing is making it easy. Here's the thing with making it easy, is it's very universal that we are all lazy. Do not say that you are exempt from that, because it is true. There are times where you're just like, I don't feel like giving a whole lot of effort to something, you know? So what he proposes is the 2-minute rule. You can do anything for 2 minutes. So if you want to, let's say, like if it's really difficult for you to, I don't know, like go on Duolingo, well actually I wouldn't recommend Duolingo, like let's say Chatterbug streams, which is highly recommended to me. You know, if you do that like 2 minutes a day, eventually at some point you're going to be like, well, I don't want to do this for just 2 minutes because the videos are longer than 2 minutes. You know, the content is longer than 2 minutes, and eventually it becomes a habit. You know, or being what he calls proactively lazy, you know, where it's like you set yourself up to do something. Like for example, with my to-do list, because I will procrastinate on getting any work done if I don't have a to-do list. So like at the end of my day, for example, I always put my to-do list for the next day. So I always put that on there like as a priority, so that the next day when I look at it and I look at my list, if you're a person where it's like, if I don't have a list, I don't know what to do with my day, it's the same thing. Put it on the list and chug through it. Do it 2 minutes, you know, just to start. You know, he was saying that if you really want to go to the gym, like go to the gym for like 2 minutes, and then eventually you're like, well, I'm already here, like, you know, why not? You know, why not? You know, so eventually, you know, it starts with 2 minutes, and then eventually it just becomes easier. Because what he does is there's a graph that he has in the book where it talks about like that curve, like what we call in statistics a normal curve, where it's like you want things to be easy enough that they're attainable goals, but you want to make sure that it's not too challenging to where you just give up. Like you don't want it to be boring, like, oh, this is like Duolingo is boring to me, you know. And then if you move to, let's say, something that's a little bit more challenging, it's like, oh, like I have something that I can work towards and improve. But if it's too difficult, it's like, oh, this is whatever. Like I would say if you're like a beginner, I would not say that you, from the very get-go, you should start watching like TV shows, you know, without like some sense of vocabulary. Like if you don't know a single word in a particular language, You need to learn something before you want to conquer, like, okay, I can learn how to introduce myself. I can talk about my interests, you know, and then because like, especially with challenges, like looking at things that you talk about and then learning that first, and then eventually moving into different things. Like you don't want to have to learn, like, I think with like watching TV, because I know that I do that now because of my level in French at this point, is because I have a large vocabulary. I can start picking up different contexts. Let's say there are different ways of saying money, for example. So now I'm like, why don't you get to a certain point where you can communicate overall anything that you really want to talk about? You start looking at like slang and context and dialects, you know. Don't start looking at that like first thing, because you're gonna get so overwhelmed. I mean, when I was learning Spanish, I was trying to learn all these different dialects. I'm like, I want to be able to recognize Colombian versus Mexican versus Argentinian, and it's like, no, just learn Spanish and then you can do all that. Don't try to challenge yourself, because it's like overwhelming trying to learn the accents for Spain and Mexico and all this other, like just learn Spanish and then you can divert to whichever one like is you're most exposed to. Like I said, you need to find that sweet spot in the middle where it's like, oh, I'm so excited to learn this. And even on accountability is, you know, even like getting a tutor can sometimes make it easier. Because I feel like a lot of times people are willing to do things if it really involves someone else. Like for example, like with running, it's like if you're trying to run by yourself, it's like, oh, it's raining. But like if you have an accountability partner where it's like, hey, like I'm putting my shoes on, it's like, oh, well, I have to show up because they showed up. We're good at showing up for other people, which psychologically I think that that's like pretty accurate. We show up for other people, but when it comes to showing up for ourselves, sometimes we fall short without like, you know, without that accountability. And then the last thing is making it satisfying. In the book, he says that anything that is satisfying is repeated, which makes sense. I mean, if it's like, okay, at the end of a session, it's like, oh, I can do this, I can do something that I didn't know before. Like, for example, when I was learning Italian and I figured out how to use the subjunctive, which I had kind of put off in the French language, and now I can use it pretty comfortably. It's like, oh, wow, like that's satisfying, and I'm going to keep using it because I learned it and I get it. One of the things I always say is like making it satisfying is like in terms of, you know, and this kind of goes along with making it attractive as well. But like one of the things I really love to do is I like to find like culture inspired like music to like in the background. Like I said, just as some way to kind of keep it in my brain, like to get used to it. As an example, like one artist I really love, Wassila. I believe she's from Tunisia last time I checked, but her music is in French, but then there's also some like Arabic undertones to it. So I'm like, oh, like I can get inspired because I'm listening to all these different artists that are from different French-speaking countries. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. You know, I love learning culture. You know, like another artist, Maître Gim, Aya Nakamura, like, you know, these are people who are not French born, but you know, their music is in French, and it's very popular and it's very good. You know, another thing I will say to make this more satisfying is I really love watching like online like walking tours, because like for me it's like a visual thing, because like I'll keep sometimes like if I'm working off my main computer, I'll have videos playing in on my main monitor back here. And it's just satisfying when I'm working and I'm like actually seeing like these places that I would love to travel to, because it puts that kind of travel bug in your system, and it makes you want to learn because it's like, oh, I'm hearing it in the background of these people. It's like so much fun to watch sometimes. Yeah. TV show, like I said, just small ways of just exposing yourself to these things. Like when I watch TV, like for example, like which I've talked about multiple times if you've been watching our videos, is Maman est Célèbre, which is a French TV show that is about French influencer moms. The thing is that I've noticed that sometimes like when something interesting happens, I'll actually start like speaking to the TV in French. So it's just like because I'm so in the zone and I'm like so zoned in, because I don't like watching that show in the background because it's like so entertaining, because I do like interesting things, and like I'm just like, oh, like I don't know, like what they did was like hilarious, and like or like I'll like like I'll actually like start imitating their reactions to certain things. Like someone will tell like something funny, and then I'll like listen to it. I'm like, oh, like I'll think about it because like I'm trying to make sense in my brain what they said. But then I'm like, oh, that was actually funny. You know, I'm like into it. So like it's like, you know, finding that like show where it's like it's satisfying to watch. One of my students, he really loves the show. He raves about it every time I talk to him. It's like Lupin. Which is a French show that's on Netflix. And so I haven't gotten around to watching it, but he's like, oh, I love it, it's so good. Like finding it satisfying to like go and watch it and learn, subconscious learning, you know, because you know that, oh, like I love it. Like if it's satisfying, you're gonna like be more attracted to it. So the key thing is that with building these habits is you do not want to miss twice. Like put it in your calendar or put it on your to-do list to do something to interact with the language, even if it's 2 minutes. So don't miss twice. So if it's like, oh, I didn't go to the gym, you know, as an example. It's like people are focused on trying to do things perfectly, where it's like, oh, I missed one day, and then it's like I might as well just not do it at all. No, you missed one day. It does not have to be perfect, but you just need to show up for the next day. If you didn't read something in French today, then do it tomorrow. Okay, it's not a big deal. Okay, don't panic and be like, oh, I'm such a failure. You're not a failure. You're a human being, because human beings are inconsistent. So being consistent with anything is difficult. You know, it's like, you know that every day you have to brush your teeth. You know, every day you have to eat breakfast. You know, you really want to make sure that, you know, you're putting these things in your routine, like I said, with habit stacking, so that it's something that is just easier for you to just do. You know, like one of the things I love to do when I get ready in my morning routine, I love to listen to music. So sometimes, like, to pump myself up in the morning, I'll listen to like some music in like, I don't know, like Dutch. You know, it makes it more satisfying. So with that, I will say, I'm not going to say that this is 100% foolproof, but I just feel like with how James Clear explains this, it's really easy for me to be able to apply that in a language learning setting. So I hope this is really helpful, and let me know on the comments, or you can also follow us on social media, and basically just give us a sense of how you are incorporating language learning into your routine. So I'll catch you next time. Bye. Hey everyone, it's Jazz here. It is the second year of the Learn As You Go campaign. It will be launching this year, the first day of summer. And throughout the entire summer season, we're raising money to support foreign language education within the general education system. We're here to help businesses and professionals who need resources to expand into global opportunities. And then also helping us build our scholarship fund to give opportunity for students to study abroad and to experience what it's like to learn about things that they like, as well as using languages that they have learned. So if you would like to support, please visit our website at languageandpeople.org/LAYG. Help us get you more connected to the world and the people that are in it, of course.